Imagine waking up thinking nothing can touch you. Then boom, Karoline Leavitt drops a verbal eviction notice live on national TV. Whoopi Goldberg didn't just trip up, she unraveled in a meltdown so over the top it made toddler tantrums look elegant. Iconic? More like Shakespearean comedy disguised as tragedy. What started with a smug eye roll spiraled into the wildest public breakdown you'll see all week. And trust me, you'll want to catch every second of this fiery showdown. Enter Trump's new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. The left loves to preach about empowering women, until they come across one who's conservative. Then suddenly, the champions of women turn to mocking and tearing them down with shallow, petty insults. Leavitt isn't just sharp, she's 27, confident, and undeniably glamorous. So of course, the oh-so-progressive voices at The View couldn't resist reacting like this.
Conspiracy theories about assassination attempts, but I guess that's too much to ask from The View. I mean, I gotta ask you, because they said it, are you aware of any plots from Elon Musk to push President Trump down the stairs?
Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show.
So White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt announced that the Associated Press has been banned from the Oval Office for not honoring the recent renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Inside the echo chamber known as The View, a storm was quietly building. You could almost sense the static in the air, like a balloon stretched to its breaking point, filled with nothing but unchecked ego and hollow moral superiority. At the center of this slow-motion disaster? Whoopi Goldberg, the self-anointed empress of daytime wisdom, marching headfirst into one of the most humiliating moments of her career, all captured in crystal clear HD.
Trump's new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. The left pretends to be a champion of women until they find one who is a conservative. Once that happens, they love nothing more than tearing down women with the most petty and vacuous of insults. Leavitt appears to be a fierce operator, but she's also 27 and arguably quite glamorous. So of course, the kind and progressive voices at The View reacted to her appointment like this.
I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
It all kicked off when Whoopi Goldberg, brimming with the kind of arrogance that comes from believing TV airtime equals absolute truth, decided to take a swing at Karoline Leavitt, a name clearly too complicated for her insulated bubble to process. Maybe Whoopi thought she was delivering some MIC drop moment, an effortless takedown that would leave Karoline shattered, weeping, and recording a car cry apology video, but spoiler alert, that fantasy collapsed faster than a bargain bin stage prop.
If you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking about. Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the...
But instead of silencing Karoline, Whoopi set off a verbal smackdown so fierce it practically deserves its own national holiday. Karoline wasn't about to play the timid guest on The View's chaotic couch of canned outrage. Not a chance. She struck back with the precision of a drone strike, calm, controlled, and absolutely devastating. One smug jab from Whoopi, and boom, Karoline unleashed a response so sharp it left the entire panel stunned, scrambling, and exposed.
Young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason, because black people couldn't get into college.
And here's the jaw-dropping twist. Karoline didn't even set foot in that overhyped den of daytime drama. From a distance, maybe sipping an iced coffee, she watched the circus play out, then dropped a response so sharp it sideswiped the Views panel like a truckload of truth. You could almost hear the panic in Whoopi's mind the moment she realized this wasn't a pushover. Karoline wasn't there to bow under pressure or play along with fake outrage. No. She did what so few ever dare. She pulled back the curtain on The View, exposing it for what it really is, a cushy clubhouse where pampered elites pretend to understand real problems, and when the applause didn't come? That's when Whoopi unraveled. Wild eyes. Flailing arms. The kind of public spiral that gets people quietly escorted out of supermarkets. The more she ranted, the clearer it became, her ego wasn't collapsing because of Karoline's words alone. It was crumbling because, deep down, she couldn't defend the very things she claimed to understand, whether it was finances, reality, or even the everyday struggles of ordinary Americans.
So, the White House Correspondents Association released a statement, and it said, the White House cannot dictate how news organizations report the news, nor should it penalize working journalists because it is unhappy with their editors' decisions. And the AP is signaling legal action, calling this a violation of their First Amendment rights. Now,
picture Whoopi scrambling for a comeback, spewing buzzwords like a broken vending machine. At one point, it felt like she might blurt out, banana republic, climate crisis, patriarchy. All in one breath, just to dodge the silence closing in. Joy Behar tried to laugh it off, but it was that nervous laugh you hear when someone realizes they've just torched their own credibility. Sunny Hostin jumped in with a fact check, so wildly off course it could have been printed by a malfunctioning GPS. And Ana Navarro? She froze like a wax figure mid-glitch, silently praying for the segment to be over. But here's the beauty of it all. Karoline never interrupted, never shouted, never even smirked. Her calm presence alone detonated their egos like a glitter bomb stuffed with truth. 4 years, they built a bubble of backpatting and scripted outrage. And Karoline? She popped it, without even setting foot on the stage.
Had him go to the Oval Office yesterday, where I think he provided great answers. He was speaking in layman's terms, speaking common sense to all of you in the media, but also to Americans at home. But I would say especially to all of you in the media, because I think it's a real fallacy that there's this alleged lack of transparency when it comes to Doge. President Trump and Elon Musk have been incredibly transparent on what Doge is doing. There is an X account with the Doge handle. They are tweeting out what they are doing on a daily basis. They have a website where they are posting the receipts of the contracts that they are reviewing and the payments that they have stopped from going out the door. The secretaries of our departments have stopped from going out.
Whoopi's meltdown hit full combustion when she tried to flip the script and play the teacher, launching into a dramatic lecture about how Karoline's views were somehow dangerous. Because of course, free speech only becomes scary when it doesn't come with cue cards and applause signs. She waved her arms, leaned in with those exaggerated listen-up expressions, and delivered what may go down as the most clueless soliloquy in daytime TV history. But instead of thunderous applause, she got awkward, scattered clapping, the kind you hear at a school concert when a kid drops their flute. Meanwhile, Karoline responded with calm, razor-sharp precision. No shouting. No theatrics. Just a quiet dismantling of everything The View pretends to be. With one clean sweep, she cut through the smug millionaire act, the hollow outrage, and the fake relatability. And Whoopi? She flailed like someone arguing with their GPS, convinced it was wrong, even as it pointed straight to disaster.
Conspiracy theories about assassination attempts, but I guess that's too much to ask from The View. I mean, I gotta ask you, because they said it, are you aware of any plots from Elon Musk to push President Trump down the stairs?
Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their...
At one point, Whoopi seemed to think tossing around big words would somehow bury Karoline's argument, like a game show contestant buzzing in with zero clue what the question was. Then Joy Behar jumped in with her signature move, shouting "You're wrong," without offering a single reason why. It was the kind of logic you'd expect from a kid denied dessert. Sunny tried to back her up, citing a study she couldn't name, by someone she couldn't remember, on a subject she clearly didn't understand. But hey, points for effort. Somewhere, a debate coach quietly shed a tear, and through it all, Karoline didn't just defend herself, she exposed the rotten foundation beneath the View. She said what viewers have whispered for years: this isn't a show for serious thought. It's a vanity lounge for personalities trapped in a time warp, parroting slogans over overpriced coffee. If you're not reading from their script, good luck finishing a sentence before you're drowned out by the pecking order.
Oh, that you're walking into hostile territory, right?
Certainly do. And look, I think I'm well prepared for that, and I'm incredibly honored that President Trump has instilled confidence in me to speak on his behalf behind the White House podium. It's been an honor to have a front row seat to the greatest political comeback in history. And as you mentioned in your monologue, Sean, President Trump is putting together a brilliant cabinet of fantastic America First fighters, from Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are going to cut the waste out of our federal bureaucracy, to Susie Wiles, who is going to serve as the first female chief of staff in history. Take that, Mark Cuban, to Tom Homan. No one better to secure the border.
And it's not just the hosts, it's the entire ecosystem that props up the View. The forced claps. The synchronized gasps. The smug self-congratulations after every segment, as if nodding in unison somehow counts as activism. Whoopi's downfall wasn't just a slip of the tongue. It was a full-blown crash of someone convinced her celebrity status made her untouchable. She assumed a cheap jab at Karoline would earn her applause and retweets. Instead, she exposed herself as just another overpaid performer, clawing for relevance like a reality star booted off in week 2. And the cleanup? A mess. The producers scrambled to release a limp PR statement about spirited discussion, praying no one noticed the intellectual train wreck that had just aired in high definition. Meanwhile, Karoline stayed cool. No rants. No theatrics. Just calm logic and a few perfectly timed verbal grenades. And in that moment, the View didn't just look out of touch. They looked prehistoric, screeching at the sky like cavemen seeing a flashlight for the first time.
Perfectly clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up. They just paid $15 million to President Trump's future library. That's a great thing for the American.
The real tragedy for Whoopi isn't that she lost a televised exchange. It's that she accidentally exposed how flimsy her entire persona really is. Strip away the polished lighting and recycled sound bites, and what's left is someone clinging to a spotlight that's already moved on. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt didn't just win, she did it without breaking a sweat. No screaming. No tears. No pity plays. Just strength, clarity, and total composure as the View collapsed under the weight of its own fake virtue. Honestly, Whoopi might want to retire the political rants and stick to what she does best, showing up in holiday specials nobody watches unless the remote's gone missing. Joy can keep laughing at ghosts. Sunny can keep quoting mystery statistics. And Anna? She can keep pretending she's not texting her agent during commercial breaks. That as for the rest of us, we'll keep watching, popcorn in hand, as the most self-satisfied show on television slowly, hilariously implodes under its own nonsense.
A woman for her looks or age isn't very progressive. Let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha Garda. Kosha, particularly that last clip that we played, it was so condescending. The way that she was scolding her as if she was a schoolgirl, suggesting she needed to do her homework. I find it so hypocritical when these so-called, caring, progressive voices just turn so nasty like that.
Yes, and as you mentioned, with conservative women, there's a long list of that, both of Trump's previous press secretaries, females, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Kayleigh McEnany,
other figures like his campaign manager the first time, Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Palin very famously had to bear the brunt of a lot of this. So people are used to that. I think in their bubble of the audience that The View speaks.
Karoline's MIC drop moment wasn't just good, it was cinematic perfection. The kind of scorched earth line that belongs in a hall of fame for takedowns. Whoopi, fresh off one of her hollow rants, complete with vague gestures and tired warnings about the state of America, looked stunned. It was the kind of speech that sounds deep, until you realize it says absolutely nothing, and then came Karoline. Cool. Calm. Probably wondering why she even had to explain the obvious. She delivered one line, just one, and it hit like thunder. Political analysts everywhere blinked and muttered, did she really just say that? Oh yes. She did that in a single sentence. Karoline unraveled Whoopi's tough girl act, tied it with a bow, and handed it back with surgical precision. You could practically see the color drain from Whoopi's face as it sank in. She'd been outmatched by someone who wasn't even in the room. The rest of the panel scrambled to recover, but it was already too late. The damage was done.
The questions from the White House podium, how do you plan to deal with it?
Yes, I absolutely will. I feel prepared to do that. I've been facing the media now, speaking on behalf of President Trump on the campaign trail for the past couple of years, and we are expecting the media to be hostile. However, Kaylee, if you do talk to a lot of these reporters off the record, they will tell you they look forward to more press transparency and access. And while we will expose the fake news when they are fake, we will hold them accountable for their lies and smears of President Trump.
Whoopi, now looking like she was trying to read a foreign language for the first time, stumbled through a feeble attempt at recovery. And right on cue, The View's PR team, the professional panic managers, scrambled into action faster than a cat dodging water. But here's the kicker, their spin didn't just flop. It backfired. Nobody was buying the spirited debate excuse. Because let's be real, this wasn't...
The behavior of Democrats last night was completely disgraceful and demonstrated how severely out of touch they are with the American public. It was the most shameful moment in the history of presidential addresses in that beautiful chamber. In what was supposed to be a unifying moment for our country, Democrat members of Congress instead screamed at the President of the United States, who was just overwhelmingly reelected by their constituents, walked out of the chamber, and worst of all, they disrespected the
debate. It was a one-sided intellectual demolition. Karoline showed up with facts, composure, and surgical precision. The View's answer? Meltdowns, shrieking, and tantrums that made preschoolers look composed. The harder they tried to patch it up, the clearer the disaster became. And the real gut punch? It wasn't just Whoopi's stumble, it was the hollow collapse of The View's entire empire of smug, self-important commentary. The stunning twist was that the wrecking ball didn't come from some sworn enemy. It came